Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I'm going to talk about PhD opportunities and all of the different opportunities you get from doing your PhD and after doing your PhD. This is something that I didn't really realize when I was doing my own PhD, right? So if you don't know, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can because there were so many people that helped me get my PhD. If I look back at all the different people from, my mom back in grade school, from, to my teachers in high school, to all sorts of people, my advisors, wonderful people that helped me get my PhD. So I wanted to give back and help other people get the same sort of experience because I know not everybody has that experience or doesn't necessarily get these opportunities, particularly all around the world. All right, so with that, what about these PhD opportunities? What I'm talking about, what goes on behind the scenes? What is going on? So I used to be really pessimistic with doing a PhD, particularly when I was actually in it and I didn't have a job. Now I am a professor at a really good school. I'm very much enjoying this sort of environment. It was really costly and really difficult to get to the moment where I actually can be a professor and help out people in that sort of way. It is a struggle. It's very difficult to do. I'm not sort of discounting doing a PhD. It took me a long, long time. So myself, I finished my PhD. I was planning on doing it in 4 years when I started. Then it turned into 5 years, not because I was, slacking or anything. I was working really hard. I chose to do the 5 years. But then when I actually graduated was when I was supposed to graduate was during the financial crisis. And it was very difficult to get a job at that moment. So, and I chose to stay there a little bit longer and the market got very competitive. So things got a little bit crazy. And I was very pessimistic in terms of the opportunities that you actually get. So, and one of my advisors kept sort of getting me to think rationally about this and sort of make it, create Excel spreadsheets about the different opportunities that you can do and whatnot. And I didn't necessarily, and eventually I chose, and it made sense once I did these spreadsheets of rank ordering the different alternatives I could pursue. And it made sense to actually stick with this and continue to go forward. And I didn't see that at the time. But I think that there's a lot of different opportunities that you don't necessarily see when you do your PhD. And this is something that where I think at the time, this pessimism, and if you're watching this, you're probably doing a PhD or doing a doctorate yourself, and you're struggling with this and you're thinking, I don't know, this is kind of dumb for me to do this particular degree. It's not really going to warrant anything. You get very negative thoughts. But I want to point out that there's tremendous amount of opportunities that happen. And I was thinking about this as I was sort of reading or going through. I saw a quote from Dr. Seuss the other day, and it really, if you've ever read that book, I think it's called Oh, the Places You Go. It really is a great book. He was very, very thoughtful and thinking about these kind of things. And one of the quotes was, you have brains in your heads, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. So this is pointing out it has nothing to do with the education that you're getting, the sort of practical education of, maybe it is using some statistical software, or maybe it is using some different, learning how to write, for example. That's not the important key thing when you're doing a PhD and the stuff that you actually learn from there. The key thing that you're learning is the different opportunities that you can choose to go forward. And there's lots of different opportunities. But the one thing I didn't get during my PhD, and I'm getting a little bit better now, particularly I've learned a lot I've read up a lot on innovation and entrepreneurship since then, a lot more than what I had done then. And I really I get the fact that you can build your own direction, and you could do that a lot more easier when you do a PhD than when you don't necessarily have a PhD. There's lots of different things that you sort of learn along the way that allow you to put this together, but you really have to sort of focus on that and realize that there's lots of different opportunities for you to do, but it's up to you to choose the thing that you want to do. You have to steer yourself in any direction that you choose, right? You have to be that person that chooses to go into so all sorts of different routes, right? So one of them might be teaching, for example. You can actually become a teacher, a professor. Or you could choose to work in elementary school with a PhD, although that would probably be um, it'd be costly, but at the same time, it's not a bad route to go in any sort of way. But you can choose to do research and do fundamental research. There's lots of people that do that, and you can go into R&D, for example, and choose that. You can go into a lot of people do this thing called consulting, and it's just kind of an area where they don't know what to call themselves or what they're actually doing. So it's easy to call themselves sort of consulting, but they're doing all sorts of crazy things, right? Consulting is not just one thing; it's lots of different things that they are just using the knowledge and skills that they possess. There's so many different things that you can do with a PhD, and you can't see that unless you take a step back or unless you sort of realize that it is allowing you to put all these different things together in your head, and you have to choose to actually do that thing, right? So if you want to do research and focus on research, that's fantastic, and you can continue to focus on research and going forward and push that forward. And you can choose, even within the research game, you can choose and do different things that you'd like to do, right, to sort of help you out. So one of the reasons why I'm doing the whole reciprocity game or building the software is to allow researchers eventually to be able to get access to, particularly on the software platform, the sharing economy proofreading platform, is so that researchers can do A/B experiments on there, which we can't possibly do at this moment. There's nothing out there that allows you to do that, and so I'm building this thing and putting it all together, and I didn't necessarily see that until I actually started doing it. And it is hard. So if you actually read some of Dr. Seuss's work in there and read, and he'll point out that it's climbing a mountain. It's really tricky. It's really difficult, and you're going to get exhausted. But you just have to keep going and keep pursuing that particular opportunity. And that's the one thing that I personally learned, is to keep going and keep pushing forward, even though it is this long sort of journey. But you can start putting this stuff together. And if you're smart enough, you can, and if you just don't quit and you're smart enough, you can put these things together and find the right opportunity for you. One of the cool things that I've noticed with a PhD is a lot of people build their own careers, and it's very individual in terms of what they're going to do going forward and what they're actually doing and what their research is. It's very individual. People just choose the things that they want to do or live in a location that they want to do. And or if they don't want to move and be part of the sort of major research game and doing all that stuff, they don't do it. And you could choose to do it, and that's the opportunities that you're given with a PhD. And not a lot of people have those opportunities. It's a really wonderful thing. So that's all I want to point out with this video. Hopefully you like it. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It gives me feedback in whether I should actually keep doing this kind of stuff. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.